Allen Park, there were 53 tailbacks who ran the ball at least 70 times last season. And Kerryon Johnson averaged more yards per carry than all but one of them. That's pretty good. Not so good, LeGarrette Blount averaged fewer yards than all of them. Every single one of them. After years of wandering around the desert, the Lions' running game finally looks like it's headed in the right direction. But the options behind Johnson left a whole lot to be desired, and that became a big issue once he injured his knee down the stretch. Blount just wasn't up for the task, and averaged 2.7 yards per carry, the fewest of his 9-year career. That only begins to tell the story. According to the microchips the league puts in players' shoulder pads, Blount was the second least efficient back in the league, averaging 5.1 yards of movement for every 1 yard of field position gained. Don't blame the line, either, because Johnson was the fourth most efficient back while working behind the same group. Ever heard of DVOA? It's a complicated statistic produced by Football Outsiders that basically measures performance against the league average. It's kind of like football's version of WAR, which is wins above replacement in baseball. And Blount finished 46th among 47 qualifying running backs in DVOA, the success rate of his runs, 37%, according to Football Outsiders, fourth worst in the league. The numbers, traditional or otherwise, paint a bleak picture. Blount was among the worst running backs in the league, and Detroit is not expected to re-sign him. In fact, Zach Zenner was much more effective down the stretch. But he's a free agent too, leaving Theo Riddick as the only other established running back on the roster. And he's never been much of a runner. All of which means Detroit is in the market for an O2 running back, and probably one with some power. ESPN's Mel Kiper Jr. said there will be some good fits in the middle rounds of the draft. Well, I think when you're looking at somebody that's a powerful option, Rodney Anderson, from Oklahoma, coming back from the injury, Elijah Holyfield from Georgia, Benny Snell Jr. from Kentucky, Kiper said Tuesday on a conference call with reporters. Those are some guys. And Alabama's Damian Harris in the second round, among them. Kiper seemed particularly intrigued by Anderson. The former Sooner ran for 1,161 yards and averaged 6.2 yards a pop during a breakout 2017 season, and was off to another fast start this year, averaging 10.8 yards per touch and scoring 3 touchdowns in his first 2 games, before going down with a knee injury that sidelined him the rest of the season. He also played just 1 game as a freshman in 2015 because of a broken leg, then redshirted the following year because of a fractured vertebra that he suffered in training camp. That's a lot of injuries, but the 2017 film is spectacular too, and teams will have to weigh the potential upsides with the risks. He would be a guy you roll the dice with, Kiper said, and if he can stay healthy, would be really a nice pick at some point in the middle of the draft. Among the other 3 running backs named by Kiper as fits for Detroit, Holyfield's is an interesting name to watch because, yes, he is Evander Holyfield's son. He split time with DeAndre Swift in Georgia's talented backfield last year, but still managed to rush for 1,018 yards on 159 attempts. And much like his father, the 215-pounder is known for toughness. Half his yards came after contact last year, 616 in all during the regular season, and he was ranked the second-best running back in the SEC according to Pro Football Focus. Remember, the Lions used their second-round pick on the sex-leading rusher last year. Another SEC running back to watch is Snell, who needed just 3 seasons at Kentucky to set the school's all-time rushing record. Of course, that'll happen when you run for 1,000 yards in 3 straight seasons, and average at least 5.0 yards a pop in each of them. Quite the feat when you consider he ran the ball 287 times last year, 4th most in the country. He isn't fast, but he's among the best pounders in this draft. One other back to consider is Harris, who had 2 1,000-yard seasons at Alabama and averaged 5.3 yards per carry in 2017, after contact. That's a trait Bob Quinn looks for in prospective running backs, and Harris was #1 in the country. He averaged just 3.2 yards after contact last season, but 38 of his 125 carries scored touchdowns or moved the chains. And you can bet that kind of success rate will intrigue a Lions team desperate to find the same in a no.